We're live with 3 people starting already? Oh, jeez.
Don't look at the Minecraft poster.
All right. How is everybody doing? Let me sit down here. Try to get myself angled. Get this right. Welcome, as people are coming in. Filtering in a little bit at a time. There I am. Well, we're already up to 33. So many likes. This is not professional, okay? We're live on my iPhone 7, so don't expect like the best audio or anything. But people asked for a live stream, so we're gonna do it. We're gonna see how well can quality go. 480p. Oh, jeez. So many people in the chat. Hello, everyone. Joseph, Thomas, Epicness, Miguel, Will, Triven, Reinventing Tech, Sam, Bob. I like to say the names that are easy to pronounce for me because I don't like to offend you and mispronounce everything. Yes, it's been a while since a live stream for several reasons. First of all, there were many problems with the tech live streams in the past, so I'll get into that, and I might have to repeat myself as some people can't join the live stream immediately, but I will be as thorough as I can. So, there are basically 3 different ways for me to live stream. I can use OBS on my Mac. That doesn't work too well. Every time I would do a tech stream from my MacBook, the audio and video would get out of sync, and then that's literally all the chat would say. It would just say, audio and video is out of sync, and all I could say was, I don't have like a button within the OBS program that says sync audio and video. Like that, the program literally just screws up, and that's free, and that's the best I can do because I'm not ready yet to commit to paying for actual software that you use to live stream. Not interested in that. The other option is to use an app called Emoz, which has been removed from the iOS store, so I can't even download that. I downloaded it from my iPhone once, and then they removed it. So like if I delete it from my iPhone, it's gone forever. Problem with Emoz, however. Oh great, I said everyone's name wrong. Great, I just offended everyone. Android wolf watching Apple sheep. Well, I'm the Apple shepherd, so I keep the wolves away from the sheep. Haha, see, that's gotta be creative and stuff. Anyway, the other app, Emoz, doesn't let me monetize the live streams. Okay, and it's also very hard to read the chat with that app because it's a third party. It's based in New Zealand, and like I said, they discontinued support for the app, so it doesn't get updates. And if I deleted it, it would be gone. So I don't make money from those live streams. They're purely just for your entertainment, which is great. I wish I could do that, but I want this to be a full-time job. It takes time to make these things. It takes time to make concepts, write videos, edit them. I'd like that to be a full-time job, which we're getting very close to, by the way. That's exciting. Like, we're getting closer and closer to that point. I can confidently say I think this will be my full-time job by this year even, which is exciting. But I'll get into the chat a little bit later, but let me keep explaining. The third option for live streaming I have that I'm doing right now is the YouTube app on iOS and Android. If you're logged into your onto my tech account, you have the ability to live stream just from within the actual YouTube app, which is nice that YouTube does that. Not perfect though, as you can tell by the thumbnail. Like it's all cropped in, so when you do a custom thumbnail, that doesn't work very well. However, I do think I can monetize these, which is good because that helps me make more videos. You can do super chats, which means if you it's like a tip on Twitch. So if you put money onto your text in the chat, I'm more likely to see that, and I'll most likely answer to it. Who are we kidding? No one's going to do a live chat, super chats in here. But if they did, though, I would notice it, and I would respond to that because, obviously, you're supporting me directly. That's, like, the best way to support me is through super chat or Patreon. But either way. What's the topic of this live stream? Well, Techtula, it's mainly just a little bit of catch-up because I haven't done a live stream set, not the sauce. I haven't done a live stream since like March, and that's because of all these problems, but people kept commenting, they wanted more, and we have like twice the subscriber count we used to since then. So I'm curious how many live stream viewers I would get with this new amount of subscribers. So I'm just trying things out again, seeing if we can get this to work. And the other problem with live streams is I think when I do that, what I used to do was try to do them like twice a week, and there just simply was not enough to discuss. The difference with the live streams is they're not really scripted or anything. it's just kind of me rambling about technology. And when you do twice a week, you kind of run out of topics. You run out of material. It's like, iPhone 8 do this, iPhone 8 do that, Apple Watch could do this, and I don't like Android because of this, and it gets old. So I think it was good to stop for a while, just focus on edited content. The other reason I'm live streaming today is I'm not feeling that great. I need to sit down. I'm having, I feel sick a little bit. So I didn't want to just completely ditch the channel today, so I just figured, live streams, I don't have to edit them. I can sit down. I can just sit down and talk to you guys, so it'll be fine. Let's just give it the best. Anyway. You're watching me on an iPad Pro. Well, congratulations. I'm watching the chat on an iPad Pro. Oh, thank you for helping me feel better. So, Aaron says Apple Watch needs a camera. Incorrect. It does not. I've been saying this for years. The main reason, there's several main reasons, but I'd say the first one is that the camera in your phone is always going to be superior than the one on the watch because it's just a bigger product. They have more room to work with. Your watch is tied to your wrist, which means that the camera angle you'll get out of it will never be as customizable as an iPhone's is. You can exchange hands, you can point it towards you, you can move it around with your arm. This is very locked in, and most of the time you'd be looking up people's nostrils if you were FaceTiming and stuff or just trying to take pictures. You want to put it in the watch band. No, the photos are gonna look bad. The camera in your pocket will always be superior, and I get that a lot of people think the smartwatch should replace the iPhone. I don't think that's gonna work. I don't think people are gonna attempt that, even if they had that option. Like Samsung put cameras in their smartwatches before the Apple Watch came out. You've noticed now that all of the Samsung Gear watches, they don't have cameras in them anymore. They got rid of that. It's because they figured out no one wants it. They think they want it until they get it, and then they realize this was a mistake and they never used that camera. So that is a something you think you'd want but don't. Anyway, what do you think about everything Apple Pro? Yeah, there were some comments because I made fun of him in the past in a couple of reviews, and kind of shots fired moments. I don't hate the guy. I don't hate any YouTuber. I'm subscribed to him, so I get alerts when he uploads the videos, but it's not because I'm very curious about the content. It's more because so many people in my comment sections have compared me to him that I'm like, well, he's a successful tech YouTuber who's obviously very popular, so I'm gonna just watch to see what I can learn from him. I haven't learned much. What I have learned is that tech channels are a lot easier if you have a ton of money. It's something MKBHD has also taught me, is that those big channels, big tech channels, have really just bought a lot of stuff and showed it on camera. And at least for me, maybe for you it's been insightful, but for me, I haven't got much knowledge out of it. See, with my tech videos, I try to open up new perspectives or try to change the way you think about a certain product, because especially this whole channel started basically when it was rumored that the iPhone 7 was going to remove the headphone jack. I made a video saying that the headphone jack is pointless and we don't need it. And that, of course, upset all these people, but a bunch of people found me and subscribed to me that way. It was just to change your way of thinking. It's like, yes, I understand they are removing something. You're upset that a function is going away. You're frustrated, but here's why it's a good thing. Here's why Apple is doing it. And here's why, in the long run, it'll be beneficial. That's like taking things from a different perspective. And that's what I try to do with Tailosive Tech, is make you think a little differently about the given. Because obviously when someone just watches a unveiling of the S8, they say, oh my god, Infinity Display is perfect. It's great, I love it. And then they say that's the best smartphone. Now, in certain aspects, I think it is better than an iPhone 7, of course. But it's very surface level thinking, and with tech I try to go a bit more in depth. However, with those other channels, it seems very shallow knowledge to me. It's like they buy the phone, they have really expensive cameras to make the phone look great in their videos, which is awesome. I wish I could do that. I can't. But they do that, and then they essentially list all the features the Samsung already talked about in the keynote. Like, here's what it does. And then, surface level stuff like Touch ID's in a weird place on the back. That's a little frustrating. That's about it. it's not very insightful. I don't really get different perspectives, especially when like they don't upload every day. First of all, their videos are like 2, maybe 3 times a week, and then when they do upload, it's like which iPhone makes the best fidget spinner. They're literally just buying up iPhones, drilling holes in them, and turning them into fidget spinners. It's like, okay, when you have that many subscribers, you really do not need to have original ideas. Because that's not really an idea. That's just you're playing around and filming it. Like, that's not insightful. That's just like, look at how much money I have. So I'm not saying they're a terrible tech YouTuber. I'm just saying it's not very clever. I think people could be smarter with how they review tech videos. That's why I started this whole channel, is because I thought the tech side of YouTube was very barren and very uninteresting. And I, like you, would watch other people's videos and get really triggered about stuff. When people would say Apple's inferior, the iPhone can't do this, so it's a bad phone. But it's like, clearly there's tons of people out there who love Apple. But when you go on YouTube, every tech YouTuber explains why they're inferior and they're behind the game. But it's like, but why do we keep going back to them? I wanted to provide a place where Apple sheep like myself wouldn't feel bad about liking Apple. Because what happens is they go on YouTube and they feel guilty and stupid that they like Apple. And I don't think they're wrong. Even though other channels think they are. Being honest is a big play side here. Yeah, honesty is important to me because I mean, obviously, I'm part of the news now, so you want to be honest with things. But that's why it didn't necessarily bother me that there were parts of the S8 that made me want to keep it. Like, testing out the Galaxy S8 wasn't like testing out the Google Pixel. Like, it took basically 48 hours for me to decide that I didn't want this phone at all. It's a complete overpriced piece of junk, and I have no clue why people defend it. And I want it out of my life immediately. Like, the Google Pixel was a no-brainer, and I didn't feel like I was harder than I needed to be on it. I can confidently stand by everything I said in that video, because I feel like everything in that Pixel Rant video, really long by the way, was how I honestly felt. And like it says at the end of the Pixel Rant video, there was more I could have said. The only reason I stopped ranting on the Pixel was because the video was too long. It was going to take too long to make. It was going to take up too much space on my computer. Because the whole thing, I think, was at 4K. And I don't have a 512 1 gigabyte option on my MacBook. I'd have to like start offloading it onto different hard drives, which I could have done, but I was like, you know what? I think people get the point. The people who agree with me are going to agree, and the people who disagree aren't going to watch the whole video anyway. So, I don't want people to think that because I'm biased, I'm dishonest. I think that's a big misconception. That we typically put those next to each other in the comments. A lot of people who complain and stuff would say stuff like, you're a biased, dishonest tech reviewer. Where I think the fact that I admit I'm biased means I'm a tad more honest than most. Because I know right now on YouTube, especially most tech YouTubers, they don't want to be accused of being biased. For some reason. They just want to say, like, no, I'm treating this fairly, I'm treating this honestly. Like, we put those two together, but for me, it's like, no, we all grew up with something. We all had a first phone. We didn't all start with, iPhone, Android, Windows, but we didn't all start with a blank slate. Obviously, what you grew up with and what you got used to, that's what you are biased towards. You have a predetermined, built-in your mind idea of how tech should work, and keeping that in mind, I think that means you will be biased, no matter what. Like, you can't change it. Like, I grew up with Apple products. These Macs back here, these were my childhood computers. I played Oregon Trail on that thing a lot. And I was little, and I was just in the other room here. I've lived in this house my whole life. And I've just grown up with Apple as their software's developed, with their products developing. Like, so now, obviously, even when there's some superior product out there like the Galaxy S8, and I compare it to my iPhone 7, I'm like, on paper, yes, this has more features, but there's something about the iPhone that keeps me on it. There's something it does right that the Galaxy doesn't, and it's really hard to describe. So that's why I think it's okay to be biased. Like, don't be afraid to admit that you have predetermined feelings about something. That's okay. Your video makes me feel how better Apple is. Oh, good. The S8 isn't better than the iPhone at all. Well, look, Daniel. Hi. The Galaxy S8 definitely surpasses the iPhone in certain aspects. That's why certain people choose it. But, like, in the review I said the S8 can be a better buy than the iPhone 7 if you're just comparing the smartphones themselves. Like, we really focus on, less bezels, the removed home button. It's got Android as an option. That really tall display that I love. I got used to that. Really great camera, too. But like I said in the review, we really get distracted with the display itself and not necessarily what's on it. Because if you take away the fact that the display looks different on the Galaxy S8, there's not that much that changed. They didn't change the camera. The fingerprint reader was just moved to the back, which makes it harder. You still got your same nav buttons. It's just the home button feels a little weirder now. And the Taptic engine on the S8 is not nearly as good as the iPhone 7's. It's not similar in any way. But it's a great demo product. I say that a lot, like with things about VR, with things like a 4K TV or HDR. Like, what it means is when it's compared directly to the competition, it will look superior, but in day-to-day use, you won't notice the improvements. As in, I really liked the S8 display when I was first using it, and I used it for like a whole week. And then after that week, you kind of ignore the fact that there's little bezels, or that the display's curved, or that just the display's extra tall. Like, you start to forget about all those things and realize that, hey, this really is just another Android phone. Like, design-wise, this is beautiful. They removed the camera bulge. They got USB-C. They even kept the headphone jack. It looks beautiful from every corner, but your experience hasn't changed that much. And I think that's why people go back to Apple, is because of the software. iOS kind of reinvents and reestablishes itself every year. Like, with every time we have a worldwide developers conference, it feels almost like your whole phone is changing. Like, when I got iOS 10, it felt, like I had a whole new phone almost. And that's all free, of course. And the iOS products typically age a lot better and hold up pretty well. I still have friends using the iPhone 4, and it works great for them. But with the Android ecosystem, like, Samsung's a perfect example that you can make the hardware more beautiful and even more premium than an iPhone, but the fact remains that the software on it doesn't change very much. And it's like, because of the fact that you can customize everything, almost nothing is unique about it, and that's why it's hard to fall in love with. You get used to Android, but you don't fall in love with it. Anyway, let's see. Fat Sleeved Guy says, I have the S8 Plus and the iPhone 7 Plus. I love my iPhone because I have Apple Watch, iPad, MacBook Pro. That integration is what keeps me with them. Samsung is a beautiful phone, but doesn't function with me. Thank you. That almost directly related to what I was talking about. Let's see. Isaac Myers. I love how you do the best you can with your current budget. I'm excited to see your channel evolve as it grows. What changes do you see yourself making in the future? Well, thank you, Isaac. I'm very excited to see it growing, and I can say the last month I've had on YouTube has been the best month I've ever had. I'm literally, I'd say, it's a very careful fraction. Like, I'll just say 8/10 of the way to being able to make this my full-time job. My other job is working at a mandarin ranch, where I'm just like, farmer boy. I'm irrigating, I'm building fences. So please subscribe to Tailosive Talks to watch what daily life is like for me. I've filmed a lot of work days there, so you can see what I do at the ranch on a daily basis. I'm driving forklifts, I'm driving tractors, I've packed fruit, I've poured concrete, I've mowed whole fields of lawns. I've mowed a lot of lawns. And, of course, built a whole fence to keep deer out, like a 9-foot high fence. It's enormous. I've learned a lot. I've delivered fruit to elementary school districts, and that takes up a lot of time. But I have surpassed that job's income with YouTube. So now I have basically two part-time jobs. But once I am able to hit a certain mark, I'm not going to tell you exactly because I don't want people budgeting life for me. Once I hit a certain point where my income is high enough from YouTube, I would like to quit that job so that I could give this my full. And the changes, to answer your question, is I'd like to be more up to date with tech videos, and I'd like the tech videos to feel more premium because, believe me when I understand, my audio is not perfect, my camera quality is not perfect. I watch the other tech YouTubers you guys watch. I understand my background doesn't look that great. It's very minimalistic, but I think it works for now. I'd like to invest more into camera equipment so that videos look better, and audio so that it sounds better. But on top of that, I don't want to just make tech videos, as I'm already not. I have a lot of thoughts on movies. I haven't done much on Tailosive movie reviews yet. My friend Dan is primarily in control of that now. But if I did quit, when I do quit the ranch job, I'll focus a lot heavily more on Tailosive movie reviews because I have real passionate thoughts about movies, and that's my favorite YouTube channels are movie review channels. They're not really tech channels that are my favorite. I don't really have a favorite tech channel. But I do have a lot of preferred movie review channels. And, of course, I love podcasts, vlogs, and basically social commentary talks on the Tailosive Talks channel, which is around 600 subs, which is very small compared to this. But I'd really appreciate it if you could just subscribe to that. You don't even have to watch the videos. I normally don't plug myself on the other channels, but the main reason I want people to subscribe to Tailosive Talks is because YouTube doesn't let you live stream from their app until you surpass like 1,000 subs. So like, just sub to the channel. You don't have to watch anything. Just get the sub count high enough. That way I can live stream from there because live streams are fun and they're really easy to do. So anyway, that's some of the changes I would like to make. Of course, I'd love to make a tech video a day and then a movie review every day. Just more and more content with a similar format, and of course, it's all coming from me. There's of course a main channel I do with comedy sketches, but I've really neglected that, so I'm not even going to tell you to subscribe to that. Yeah, video quality is okay. Get a mic first. Look, I do have a mic here. Why don't I just show you? I have two cameras, both Lumix, because they're cheap, but they film at 1080 at 60 or at 4K. This is what I shoot all of my tech videos on right now. It's a FZ300. It's not overly fancy. The lens is built in. And this is the mic I have. I know, it's crazy that I have this attached. It's a very fancy microphone. It can take lots of different plugins for like external mics. It's a zoom. And I just mount it to the top because I don't have enough tripods to get the mic closer. And if you're ever wondering why audio in a lot of my videos is very quiet, it's because it's very hard to find this balance. Because if you don't notice, compared to other tech YouTubers, if you watch mine, I'm kind of yelling in all my videos. Like, I'm kind of screaming at the camera. And I don't plan on changing that because some of my earliest tech videos, I was much more soft-spoken. I didn't talk very loud. And it got monotone and it got annoying. I think all tech YouTubers have that problem of being, like, monotone. Their voice isn't very diverse. So I tried to be different. So that's why I'm different. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe. I won't care. And this is my old camera I had before that. This is an FZ1000. So like the Google Pixel I shot on this because the lens is a lot larger and the sensor kind of looks better. But there's no touch screen, so I don't like it as much. I like this one because I can touch the focus, which saves a lot of time, where this one is more of a ring. And it's all digital, so like you have a switch between zoom focus. So yeah, this is on. So now it's on zoom. So like that's digital. It's not actually the ring moving gears like a regular Canon lens. It's like it's telling a computer to move it digitally based on movements I make with the ring. The reason I go with these is because I think that when people start watching my videos and they notice that they're at 60 FPS, that just kind of catches their eye a little bit. And I don't have the supreme camera quality of a Red camera or a Sony A7 or a GH4 or anything. I don't have the budget for that right now, so I'd appreciate if you don't try to tell me what to buy, because I know what I want. I just don't have the money for it. But when people see that 60 FPS, it kind of catches their eye, and they're like, "Hey, this is a little better than usual. Like, he kind of knows what he's doing," and so that's why I go with these guys. And I like shooting at 4K for stuff. It's handy. I did a lot of client work in the past. I'm trying not to now. It's been frustrating. I used to get hired for local businesses and events and stuff around here in town, and that's fine. Like, it's kind of an okay way of making money, but I discovered people just kind of take advantage of the fact that you're young. They're just like, "Oh, you don't know how a business works. Let me show you how this is going to go. We'll pay you this much. You'll sign our contract. We're not going to sign your contract because you don't know how to make one." And then you get ripped off. So I don't do that anymore. Anyway, report the messages. Just don't read them. Whatever. Did the Samsung Galaxy S8 come close to converting you from iPhone for however many years? Angel, see, there is a little aspect of clickbait in that title of the video. It's saying it made me want to switch from the iPhone. It pitched that idea to my head, but it didn't necessarily get me close. Like, it made me start considering that, but once I started to consider it, I realized that it would throw off my complete ecosystem if I ditched the iPhone for the S8, because then I'd have this useless Apple Watch. I'd have to buy a Samsung Gear Watch, which I don't like as much as my Apple Watch. The whole point of that video was, if you ignore all other products and you ignore all ecosystems and you ignore the operating system, yes, the S8 is better than an iPhone if you're just, standalone street fight. The difference is, an Apple Watch is way better than a Samsung Gear, and I don't care about Samsung's laptops. I think the MacBooks are way better in that aspect. I would lose my AirPods. Oh my God. Can't do that. And my iPad would not work as well as a Galaxy Tab. I'm not interested in a Galaxy Tab. Those look like complete iPad clones. I don't want to buy into that, and they don't look... Android on a tablet is not as good. So it's just... If Samsung could continue that premium feel and quality on all their products, which they don't, like, the S8 is beautiful, but I wouldn't say the Gear S3 looks beautiful. I wouldn't say the Galaxy Tab looks beautiful. They look like they don't know what they're really doing with those lineups. Like, why can't they make a larger version of the S8 with the curved displays and the minimal bezels in the tablet form? Like, do something original rather than just make this. Because that's what they did. They just made their own version of the Apple Pencil, their own version of the Smart Keyboard, and then, like, matched the bezels of a regular iPad, like, measurement for measurement. So I was like, why do we... It wouldn't work. It's not an ecosystem. It's more than just one phone. And I get that it's substantial, because I have said in the past that the iPhone is my favorite Apple product. Like, that is the core of the Apple ecosystem. Everything is powered via your smartphone, but it's... iOS is better at the end of the day. I still stand by everything in my iOS is better than Android videos, so that still holds up, and that's why I wouldn't make the switch. And we're also kind of forgetting that the iPhone 7 and Galaxy S8 are very spaced apart release-wise. iPhone 7's been out for half the year. Like, they're halfway through their cycle. And the S8 just came out. So it feels a little unfair to compare them like they're... I get that they're modern flagships available right now, but it's like, this isn't Apple's top iPhone right now. Like, well, it is, but, like, they're working on the next one, and I'm thinking, as soon as the iPhone 8 or 7S comes out, those will probably blow the S8 out of the water, and then you'll hear me say in that review, both of these phones are better than the S8, and then it'll be over. Anyway. MRHY Movies, I have the 15-inch MacBook Pro. Siraj says, I am a big fan, by the way, but allow me to disagree respectfully. I grew up with Windows, then I changed to Mac and found the best operating system in the world. That's the best operating system in the world. I regret all my years with Windows. I have friends like that. One of my best friends all had PCs throughout his house. His whole family used PCs because they were cheap. I think that's the main reason, is when they looked at a Mac and they looked at a PC, they saw that they could get a PC for $300 and not have to pay $1,200. So they bought it, and then they find out it works for about 1 year, and then they have to buy a new one, or they got to buy a different. And throughout the year you got to pay for virus protection and buy all this extra stuff to make it work, and then it stops working, and then they hired tech people to come look at it. And I converted them, and now all they use are Mac computers. They all buy, sometimes used, they buy used MacBook Pros, or they'll buy iMacs that are brand new. He bought a 5K iMac. I unboxed it on this channel. But I've seen a lot of people make that switch that way. The ones they just tried it. And a lot of people, I think, are hesitant because just the price alone. They don't want to try it because it's too expensive. It doesn't matter if it's a good product. It's just the fact that you can get something else with similar specifications and ignore the operating systems. People don't want to compare those. They just want to say, look, Mac Pro has this much RAM and a custom-built gaming PC has this much RAM. This is cheaper, so this is the better option. So people do that. I did that. I had my 21.5-inch 2012 iMac for a long time, and then I fell in that hole too, that I was like, wait, you can get a gaming PC that has all these specs for this cheap? Like, I saw all that opportunity, and I was like, oh, heck yeah, I'm going to buy that. So I did. I almost built it myself. I didn't entirely, but I had help. But that custom-built one had all these way better specs than my iMac, so I was like, okay, I'm going to be both. I'm going to learn Windows, and I'll be good at Mac OS. I'll just be, like, fluent, and I'll be bilingual. But then it stopped working after a year, and I got rid of it because I hated it so much. Like, I couldn't just sit down and start editing. It'd be like, okay, I filmed the video, time to start editing, sit down on Windows 10, hit Adobe Premiere, doesn't open. And I was like, well, what's wrong? Why isn't this responding? Or I would try to open the internet, Microsoft Edge. I would just try to open it. Nope. Wouldn't work. And then people would try to come, you got to check these drivers. Oh, you got to check this source. Go to this web. I'm like, I don't want to mess with all that. That's when the Apple sheep of me really started standing out, is because I realized I just want it to work. When I sit down at a computer and I want a program to open, I want it to open. And I've had more luck with my Mac computers in that sense. It's pretty simple. Some people have had the opposite problem. Some people have ran into their Macs not working and have had far more success with PCs. So then they're biased towards Windows, and that's fine. I'm live streaming Ben Dix on my iPhone 7. Opinion on Surface Laptop and Studio, asks Oceantic. Okay, well, you can watch my Surface Laptop video I did if you want my opinions on it, but I think it's completely weird. I'm not going to say it's a bad laptop because it's very much like a MacBook, so I can't really criticize it on its own. I just think it's bizarre that Microsoft is course correcting so significantly. Like, we were expecting this year, we read rumors that they were working on a standalone laptop. Like, I did a video on that when it happened. There was like rumors spreading that, oh, Microsoft's next laptop isn't going to be a detachable. It'll just be focused on being a laptop. We all thought that was the Surface Book 2. We were all like, oh, great. Now they can just make a laptop that is powerful and premium and hopefully, in my wish list, sports USB-C just like every other company does. Every other company's moving that way. So we were expecting a premium Surface Book 2 that wasn't some weird bendy straw detachable that would work great and just be a premium follow-up that would be, a MacBook killer. And then instead we got, I can't figure out what it's for. I don't understand the target audience, because this Surface laptop is like competing with the 12-inch MacBook and the MacBook Pro, but then they said its primary target is education. And I was like, well, if Windows 10 S is trying to kill Chromebooks, why did you make it $1,000? Because Google made a $1,000 Chromebook and it flopped and they discontinued it. So I don't know who this is for, other than like college students. But I think college students would rather buy a Surface Pro, because that's a tablet and you can buy the keyboard and stuff and it won't be as much. And Surface Pros were very common back in college when I went. Lots of people had those, and I think it was because they liked that it could be a tablet and a laptop. But now Microsoft's like, well, some people just want a laptop. And Apple's like, yeah, that's what we make. So now they're like, now we'll make detachables and official just regular laptops. Well, just buy an iPad. Don't buy the Surface laptop. The fabric thing is weird. Windows 10s sucks. I don't care if they're trying to make things optimized. It's like they prohibit you from downloading apps that aren't on the Windows Store, which is, I think, personally, a way huge restriction on what people love about Windows. Like, is the opportunity. And, it's really confusing that now we're going to have people with laptops running Windows 10s, and that's going to confuse the crap out of people because how many pieces of software are there out there right now that say work with Windows but aren't on the Windows Store? That's like 80% of Windows applications, right? So now there's going to be all these applications that say compatible with Windows, and then people with a Windows 10s computer are going to try to install them, and they're going to be like, sorry, here's something like it on the Windows Store. And I think it's a joke. Anyway, the worst thing in the world is when YouTubers complain about specs of Apple products and get the specs they're complaining about wrong. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna criticize Apple, that's probably the best way to do it. So I can understand. I used to not like my iMac for that reason. It's like when you're buying Apple, you are paying for software because you're paying for it for years because you know that it's going to last quite a while. I know my MacBook Pro is going to last 2, 3, maybe 4 years. And you know that is part of an ecosystem that works and is optimized for each other. So you're not just paying for specs, whereas on third parties, PCs, Androids, you're basically paying for the features and the specifications. So I can understand why that's the main reason people don't want to buy into Apple. To me, that's the most legit excuse. Like, I can relate to that, but I simply think he's wrong. Most people are wrong, but I can't tell you what you want. I can persuade you, but at the end of the day, a lot of people can just hold an iPhone and say, I don't want this, so whatever. I have a Mac Mini from mid-2010, which I still use today. Exactly, see, they last a very long time. What do you think about iPod Touch? Will we get 7th gen? Definitely don't count on it. I would not be surprised if at the next keynote we see an iPod discontinuation. I think that's inevitable at this point. Drew is live, Windex Cleaner. Oh, hey, Shayna Smith, thank you for raising your hand. New iPad Pro 2, do you think they will announce them at WWDC? Or do you think we will have to wait until September keynote? Really want to get the new one. Love your videos. Thank you. Really wouldn't expect them at WWDC. There's no evidence that that's going to happen. However, it's not impossible. Like, that would be a very welcome surprise. I wouldn't be against it. I would love it if that did take place. But don't hold your breath on it. Don't plan on that. I think they may be delayed till after the iPhone release. That's possible because, we thought they were all going to come out in March, and then we thought there might be an April keynote, and then none of that happened. It's just all been glossed over now. We're into May. So like you, I want to see the new iPad Pro 2. I want to see, and I would be interested in buying one. Even though this is fine and this is holding up wonderfully, I understand that I have to review tech for the Apple audience now. So I wouldn't count on it though, just because they focus so much on software there, and I think the primary new things are going to be the Siri smart speaker. I think people are going to be really interested in that because Siri's getting an overhaul, and that'll be like the meat of the show. It'll be the one more thing. It'll be, here's all the new operating systems, and then here is the Siri smart speaker, or whatever it's going to be called. That's what I would anticipate. Because I feel like the 10.5-inch iPad, that was the one that we were all rumoring about the removed home button and all that. That seems like too big of a major refresh to be like released before the iPhone 8. I feel like they're going to have to make some massive changes to iOS to accommodate for lack of a home button, a physical one. Like they're going to be moving towards a home button that's on the display. That's a big change, and Touch ID is not going to be on the back of the iPad Pro. We don't know where it's going to be if they're removing the home button. Hopefully they don't extinguish it altogether. But either way, I think there's some very innovative new technology that's going to be in that 10.5-inch iPad that they're not ready to demo before the iPhone. I think they want all that to be, all the attention, all of the new tech to be focused on that iPhone 8, and that's all they care about. And then after the iPhone 8 comes out, they'll release the new iPad. And I knew the parts and manufacturing for the 10.5-inch iPad were very limited, and that's why it was going to get delayed. But, of course, there was still rumors of an iPad Pro 2 that was not going to be edge-to-edge. It would just be like this. Literally this, but faster on the inside. So maybe we'd get something like that. I don't know. Maybe a rose gold option in the 4K camera that's on the 9.7-inch iPad Pro brought to the big version. True tone display, live photos, stuff like that. It would be a very minor refresh if there is one at WWDC, but I would be very surprised if they released the whole new 10.5-inch refresh. The most we could get from an iPad at WWDC is a newly spec upgraded iPad Pro 2, that's this big, just with the stuff I listed, rose gold and the better camera. And then like a iPad Pro Mini, the 7.9-inch iPad Pro. So Apple Pencil support, smart keyboard for that tiny one. That's like the most I would expect. I think that, Jesse, I think there will be 3 iPhones this year. I think that makes the most sense because Apple wants to just have one size of the iPhone 8. I think manufacturing the iPhone 8 is so difficult, and the parts they're trying to shove into such a tiny form factor is so complicated to make that... people are dying for attention. They can't afford to make them in 2 variants. They just need to make one. And I really wish they had the parts and manufacturing capabilities to release 2, but I don't think it'll happen. I think we'll just get that one iPhone 8 and then the 2 7Ss. The smaller 7S being the one concept one I made yesterday. Single camera, but still a glass back, fast charging with Lightning 2.0 or just Lightning to USB-C. And waterproofing, IP68 water resistance, and the flash being vertical and not horizontal. It would be very similar to a 7, but it would still get some beneficial features like that. Bluetooth 5.0, hopefully A11 chip, probably extended battery life, stuff like that. So I would like that, but I would like if we could have 4 new iPhones, 8 Plus, 7S, 7S Plus. But I think it's most likely, we'll get the 2 7Ss and the 1 8. So that's what I'm predicting. What do you think of Google's Fuchsia OS? Maybe it'll blow Android out of the water. Maybe Google will shoot its own foot. Really want your opinion. I apologize, Hayes. I'm not up to date on what that is yet, but I will check it out later. Tailosive Tech is removing feature going to be continue. Apple might remove the Touch ID. Okay, Xerox. They might remove it. I don't know. We still have no clue. What's the oldest iPhone you've seen in the wild as of late? I saw a guy with 3GS surfing the web on Safari. Surfing the web on Safari? No way. That's weird, Targo Boy. No, iPhone 4. I haven't seen a 3GS in the wild in a long time. That surprises me. Those are... Yeah, that's really close to discontinuation. That's not... Those didn't get iOS 7 even. Yeah, I'd be surprised to see one of those. Remember 2008, we had the MacBook Air, and MacBook Pro. Well, that means that if we get a redesign of the MacBook Air, then the MacBook Air will be the thinner and lighter than the 12-inch MacBook. Look, I'm so sorry. I wish I was in more control of this, but Apple is terrible at naming things. I'm an Apple sheep, but I also know all of their faults, and that is one of the biggest. Don't expect a MacBook Air refresh, because it already happened. It's just not called the MacBook Air. It's very simple to remember, but just try to acknowledge that they screwed up on this. The new MacBook Air is the 12-inch MacBook. Just try to forget the term Air exists. I am anticipating that the regular MacBook Air we know of now with the aluminum bezels, with the old style keyboard, old style trackpad, USB ports. That's going to be discontinued at any time. That's just a matter of time before they're just like, forget it. Get the 12-inch MacBook. Because the 12-inch MacBook is literally a modern version of everything the MacBook Air stood for, which was being light and portable, and that's what you're paying top dollar for, is a portable laptop, and removing ports, removing functionality. The 12-inch MacBook has like one port and a headphone jack. Don't know why. That's all it's got, and it's very similar to and it was hated on. Everyone hated it, and it's very similar to the MacBook Air when it came out. People all hated that they removed the disk drive. They hated that there were so few ports, just a USB port and a Thunderbolt port and an SD card. So it was like very minimal compared to a MacBook Pro, which has tons of ports. At the time, had tons of ports on the side. Obviously, not anymore. But I just think the 12-inch MacBook is exactly a follow-up to the MacBook Air. They should have called that the new MacBook Air. But I understand that the reason everyone wants a MacBook Air refresh is they all want a cheaper, premium MacBook laptop. Whereas people don't like that the 12-inch could be a MacBook Air replacement because it's like $1,400 and they don't have the same specs. But see, the reason Apple sells the MacBook Air for so cheap is because it's so old. It's not up to date. It doesn't have those premium things, and it's essentially outdated with all the ports on the side, the bezels and the keys. No Retina display even. It's like the only thing they sell that's not a Retina display. And as soon as they discontinue that, it's just going to be because they were tired of making them. They've made them for a while. The reason they're cheap is because they're so old. As soon as you refresh it, it no longer will be cheap. That's why you have the 12-inch MacBook. That is the MacBook Air, essentially. Just accept that. If we were going to upgrade the 12-inch MacBook, I would remove the headphone jack, just have 2 USB-C ports. That way you can charge and do one other thing. And, just upgrade the specs on the inside, obviously. What do you think the smart speaker will be called? I think it might just be Siri or Siri Home or something like that, asks Bouncer YT. That's a good point. Apple likes to be weird with naming and minimalism. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they named it just, or you can buy Siri. Siri what? No, it's just Siri. That's what it's called. It's like, alright. Yeah, they would do something like that. That's a good idea. Or Siri Home. That would be a bit more of a rip-off of Google Home, though. I think that's a little too close. I think if they called it Siri, we would all still call it the Siri Smart Speaker. It's kind of like when Apple unveiled the Apple Watch, a lot of people still call it the iWatch, even though that didn't happen. They're bad at names. It'll be weird. Do you think they're going to be a AirPods Series 2 with Bluetooth 5? Asks Jacob O'Brien. I really hope so. Actually, the next video I was hoping to work on, I'm glad you asked that, was a wish list for the AirPods Series 2. Why don't I have them in my hand here? Just as a reference. Love these guys. Black Pods have been ordered and they're still in production. I haven't got the email that they've been shipped yet because they're in such high demand. But what I would love for Series 2 is actually a patent that Apple passed a while ago. I didn't really make a video on it, but I thought it was interesting because what I wanted on this thing was wireless charging. I was like, why do we have to have another Lightning port? These things are like the perfect size if they just designed them a little bit differently to charge through your Apple Watch charger. I have it over there. I'd show you it, but you get the idea. Just a little magnetic dock thing that just clips on, and then it charges the case like that. But I do realize that the Apple Watch charger is a little rounded on the bottom, so you might have to make this rounded. Or, better idea, is to make one side of one of these flat sides, either this side or this side, glass. That way, whatever they're going to use to charge the iPhone 8, we don't know what those Apple wireless chargers will look like, that are flat, because the back of the iPhone 8 is flat. It's not going to be rounded like an Apple Watch. You'll just be able to sit it on a pad. You could put the AirPods on the pad too. Just drop it there and they charge. But the patent I was mentioning earlier that Apple passed was the idea that not only can the AirPods wirelessly charge in their case, they could also charge your phone, which is a really crazy idea, but they actually passed the patent to this, and I don't know how much battery capacity these could contain anyway, but I guess the idea was, I wish I had a other phone. Oh yeah, I've got an iPhone 5 here. So pretend this is, I don't know, iPhone's 8 or whatever, just hypothetically. You'd be able to, wherever you were, take your AirPods case, put it on a table or your knee or whatever, and just drop your phone on it, and it would wirelessly charge your phone from right there. I really loved that idea. It was really simple, and it's like, and if you're just in a meeting somewhere and your battery's low, make the pack that charges your headphones also be able to charge your phone, because it's really nice having this thing around. And they passed that patent, and I just thought that was amazing. I really want to see that. And of course, did we lose it? It says we're live now. God, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, but calls still come through. We're back? Okay, it's working. Sorry about that, guys. I thought I fixed it. I put my iPhone on Do Not Disturb, but I still got a call. Stupid iPhones. I'm switching to the S8. Okay. Thank you, guys. The phone didn't die. I got a dang phone call. What don't you like about everything Apple Pro videos in terms of his content? You mentioned in a previous video that you're not a fan of his channel. Just curious your perspective. Well, James Fallon, I talked about it earlier in the stream. If you weren't here, I'm sorry. But essentially, I don't think there's much insight. I think it's more just he has a lot of money that he can spend on lots of things. Like, who actually wants to know what iPhone makes the best fidget spinner? Like, that's just, I have a ton of money. I'm just going to buy a bunch of iPhones and do whatever I want with them just for fun. I don't think that's creative. I just think that's playing around. That's not that insightful. It's just like, I have a ton of money. I can do whatever I want with it. And a lot of people like that, so, you know, that's fine for some people. Do you think Apple will make a cheap, affordable Mac under $800? No, Greg. Because Apple hasn't made a reputation or has a good history of success via cheap products. They just haven't. They know their fan base, and they know that what they want is premium quality. As long and to assure that premium quality, they need to charge top dollar. Like, that's why Apple can do the things that they can do. That's why they can make all these databases, and that's why, ooh, there's San Francisco. That's why they can provide software for free every year, is because they charge top dollar. And they're one of the few businesses in the world that is capable of making the hardware and the software, because Samsung doesn't make the software for the S8. They tinker it a little bit, but ultimately Google makes it. And Google did make the Pixel with their hardware and software, but they don't have a whole ecosystem. They just kind of have certain products that they made with hardware and the software, but not to the extent that Apple does. You know, watch, phone, tablet, Mac, AirPods, TV, all that stuff. They cover it all, top to bottom. And I don't think anyone else does that. So half the company at Apple is dedicated to just writing software. And they don't get paid via people liking the software. They have to rely on the sales from the hardware team, because you pay for Apple hardware, of course. But anyway. Do you think Apple will make a new OS for iPad Pro 2? No, Callum, I think they're going to stick with iOS. I love the idea of a Siri smart speaker, but I think that if they don't make one that's fairly low priced, it won't do well. Look at Google Home versus Echo Dot. Amazon controls 70% of market for a reason. Jamie, I respectfully disagree, though I see what you're coming from. Amazon is leading this industry right now, I think, because they're so unique to it. They invented it. And yeah, you're right, it is a lot cheaper. But I think the reason Google Home isn't really taking off is there's not really many Google sheep, as in people like Android because it's affordable, or they like the Pixel because it's from Google, but they have the Google Assistant on those things already. They don't, fandroids, as I call them, don't really care about having a complete ecosystem of Google products. that much because they can't. It's not they can't have the Pixel laptop, Pixel tablet, Pixel phone, Pixel watch. They can't have all of those things. Whereas Apple sheep are unique because they want everything Apple sells. Most people who own an Apple product will own more than two, and I think that the Apple sheep are going to be very okay with paying top dollar for a smart speaker because they know when they buy an Apple product, they love it. It's functional, and they'll make it a part of their daily life because we have bigger fans for Apple than we have for any other tech company. So I do think Apple can outprice the competition, similar to the smartwatch game, because Apple did. The Apple Watch was way more expensive than every other smartwatch that was available at the time. So to me, that makes sense that why the Siri smart speaker will likely cost more than everyone else, and probably be a lot more than anyone else. But it won't. It won't change anyone's mind. All the Apple sheep are just gonna buy it anyway. I know I am. So sorry, I had to text someone really quick. Can you donate to this channel? There should be a way to super chat. Maybe that's only a desktop thing, but the other way to donate is Patreon. Just look up Tailosive on Patreon. That would help me immensely. And the other best way to support me, watch the videos. Go to the other channels, Tailosive Talks. Watch those videos too. I wouldn't even buy an iPhone SE, but I wish Apple would make a new one. I think it's a great phone. Sam, I absolutely agree. I don't want one personally, but I love the idea of just that affordable, basic iPhone that's not too expensive, but has some premium features. But I don't think they'll keep the SE name, because SE stands for Special Edition, which literally by definition means, one time, it's special. So it wouldn't make sense to call it SE2. But I hope they continue it and give it a name. I wish they would just call it a 5. I don't know what the subtext would be. The new iPhone 5, the 2017 iPhone 5 or something. Just because people like that form factor and they like that size, but it's cool to have those upgraded components, 4K camera, live photos, and stuff like that. And for those people, I saw some people talking about the new Mac this year. There's rumors saying they're working on a new iMac that'll be out at the end of this year. So they're not completely abandoning it. The reason you're not seeing upgrades as constant as iPhones is because not that many people buy iMacs anymore. And there's simply not that much to change. So they're not going to refresh them as constantly as iPhones, but they're not abandoning them. And then there's a new Mac Pro coming out next year, so it's not completely gone. If you could make it to Keynote 2017, would you go? Yes, Alessandro, I would definitely go to a keynote if I had the opportunity to, but I don't. I'd have to be invited, I think. Where did the name Tailosive come from, Super Kid? Subscribe to Tailosive Talks. There's a vlog on there called Why Tailosive. It explains all of it. It's a long story, so I don't like to explain it every live stream. Will you do a desk setup video? It's right there. I don't use my desk for anything. I just kind of put the MacBook on it sometimes. Mainly storage space. That's what's so great about having a laptop, is I can go wherever. I don't understand tech YouTubers who record their stuff at 4K at 60 for talking. So then they buy this giant Mac Pro and they're upset that they can't, or more specifically MKBHD. I can't edit videos at 8K. It's like, dude, no one's watching that. It's like you're buying expensive cameras that shoot things at incredibly high bit rates just so they look good to you, but no one else really notices them. But 90% of your audience is watching them on a tablet or smartphone at 1080p, and they're not seeing it at 60 FPS. So you're putting in all this work, and you're asking for a new Mac Pro. You're asking for these new refresh. You spend 20 grand on editing equipment just to make your computer capable of handling all the footage you record. You do all that, and then no one cares. It all goes to nothing. So it's just I think it's overkill. It's like a MacBook Pro can edit everything I throw at it just fine, no problem. I don't need to buy a new iMac or a Mac Pro because I edit 8K, 4K footage. It's fine. That can edit 4K, no problem. Do you have your MacBook? Yeah. No, that's... Here. It's right here. I do think, to those, I saw that comment asking, will they remove all ports in general? Yeah, that's the end goal, is the wireless everything. It'll be interesting to see how they bring wireless charging to laptops. But yeah, what they're going to do is really perfect wireless data transfer as soon as they get cameras and other pieces of equipment capable of like airdrop features. I really wish they would allow airdrop uh, to be accessible to developers. It would make so much sense to me if my Lumix cameras or my Canon cameras could airdrop their footage to my Mac. That would be wireless. It would be faster. Well, not exactly faster. But I wouldn't have to plug in cables. I wouldn't have to remember to bring cables. And I wouldn't have to fuss with SD cards all the time. But I understand that people are saying that transfer rates for wireless will always be slower than wired connections. I understand that, but that doesn't stop people from changing because it's more about convenience than it is performance. That's why we don't have Ethernet ports on our iPads, iPhones, and MacBooks. Yes, an Ethernet connection to your internet is always going to be faster, but Wi-Fi is so much more convenient. It's wireless. You don't have to plug anything in. It's going to be similar with data transfer and video transfer. When you want to have external monitors, it'll be wireless, just like AirPlay is kind of already. I would guess like 10 years from now, you will likely see a lot of devices with no ports. If anyone's going to do it, I think it'll be Apple. Apple will be the first to say just wireless charge, just just wireless data transfer. Everything's on the cloud. You don't have ports anymore. That would make waterproofing a lot easier too. All right. Do you think that the iPad Pro 2 will appear at WWDC? Very unlikely. I wouldn't count on it. No. Do you use the new version of YouTube? I know what you're talking about, Oki, but no. I've messed around with it a couple times, but I just wish when they refreshed YouTube, when they give it a new design, which is great, it looks cool, they would just include all the same features, because what they do when they redesign it is they leave out certain functions and say, go back to classic YouTube to have this function. It's like, why would you remove functions like that? It's software. This isn't Apple trying to get rid of the headphone jack. It's just buttons on a screen. Just complete all the options. I've supported. Thank you very much. You're a Patreon. You'll be on the list soon. Thank you. Do you think in the future we'll have like microchip phones implanted into us and will literally always be connected? Lots of people who don't know technology that well will typically assume that is the next step. In the future we'll have computers built into our brains. I think that's not impossible, but I don't think it's in our lifetime. I think we are getting ahead of ourselves because we really have no idea of how to begin to start building computers that like work with our memory and our vision and stuff. We can stick computers into our bodies to help our bodies, but we haven't gotten close to the idea of implementing them so that they are one, like it is a part of you, like your memory is actually expanded. A lot of people assume we're going there. I don't think we're anywhere close, and I think even if we did start to figure out ways and methods of doing that, the laws required to pass and the ethics and the protesters and the morals that people would argue about altering the state of humanity into making us part cyborg would be so controversial that it would take decades for us to pass the legislation to make that legal. It won't be. Even if the technology's there, the laws won't allow it right away. So I think we're very, very far away from that. I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't come in our lifetime. Like that might be something our grandkids see. Anyway. Really big fan of the channel. Thanks for making great vids. Also really looking forward to iPhone 8. Yeah, definitely. Me too. Free AirPods with iPhone 8, Delwyn? Yeah, someone said that in a leak. I'm a little surprised by it because AirPods are so hard to manufacture. They're not very good at it because they still take 6 weeks to get to you. Like, they're very, very delayed, but so I feel like including AirPods with the iPhone 8 would make the iPhone 8 itself delayed even further. As in, like, I'll take the iPhone 8 if it means I don't have to wait for the AirPods to get finished. Like, if iPhone 8 just has Lightning headphones in the box, that's fine. Just get it to me quicker. Um, so if they found a way to efficiently assemble the AirPods in the iPhone 8, and they can do that in time, that's great. It'll be very expensive to include those, but man, would that be a premium purchase? I would price that at like $1,000 to $1,100 for an iPhone 8 and an AirPods be in the box. Wow, that would be a lot. This is an iPad Pro, by the way. Would you like a next macOS redesign? Yes, we'll see that next month. What do you think about Tesla and Elon Musk? Big hero of mine. I'd love to meet him one day. I love Tesla. Tesla's my second favorite company, I'd have to say. I love their cars, and I love what he does with SpaceX. It's all fascinating. I watch all the launches and stuff. Um, I've been watching a lot of his Tesla solar tile roofs things. Those are pretty neat. I don't know if a lot of people will do that. They may take decades to implement into more and more houses, but it's a cool concept. Um, I don't agree with everything he says. There's sometimes things I kind of disagree on. Like there was some stuff in the news saying he thinks we could be like in a matrix state, which I have a hard time believing. There's sometimes he goes a little bit over the edge, and it sometimes feels like his life isn't together. Like he has marriage after marriage after marriage, and then dating someone. And it's like, he can't keep his personal life in one piece sometimes, and so that I don't admire about him. Kind of like Steve Jobs had a lot of hard times with that, like accepting that he had a kid. He wanted to deny that. If you ever watch a movie about Steve Jobs, you understand that he was a jerk to a lot of people. Elon Musk hasn't been a jerk to people, but but similar to Steve Jobs, he has a hard time with his personal life. But that's of course not important. But I do want to say that I don't understand his whole tunneling project, because I think a lot of his power and his fame is kind of going to his head in that aspect. That the idea of getting rid of traffic is to dig massive tunnels under every city, because cities have a lot of weight on them, and it's just like, I don't know if that's the right approach, Elon. Like maybe if there wasn't a city there already and you were building a city from scratch and you wanted to build the tunnels first, still that's a lot of dirt to excavate, and that's a lot of money to expand, and I'm not even sure if that's worth it. Like who's going to pay for all that? The city, and then all the people who have to live in the city will have to pay top dollar for those tunnels to work. And I don't know. It's just, I didn't think that was his brightest moment. I think a lot of people think it's the future because Elon Musk said it. So the fact that Elon said it means it's true. But I was like, this argument seems a little weak to me. I can get behind Tesla, I can get behind SpaceX, I can get behind solar tiles, but the tunnel thing, I don't know. I wasn't really with there. Whoa! I got a super chat. ATIT Tech says, I like your content, and sent $1. Wow, thank you. Appreciate it. I didn't know. Oh, okay. I'm glad we have super chat activated. And I'm just making sure. Yeah, that was the first super chat. Thank you. Will there be something like the Samsung DeX that Apple will make? And if so, would there be any problems? Price, replace Macs? Yeah, Callum. That would be one problem with making an iPhone that is capable of running macOS if you plug it into the right stuff. They would be afraid of it butchering Mac sales, which is another theory I had about why they're not putting pro apps on the iPad. Maybe they have the option to make like Final Cut on the iPad Pro, but they don't, because they realize then people will start buying the iPad and not our MacBooks, and they would make less money. So perhaps that's the reason they hesitate to do that. But yeah, I don't know. I wish they would just make a really premium iPad that costs as much as a MacBook, but was capable of doing professional stuff. I would love that. My iPad Pro 2 concept that I did on this channel not too long ago. Like, I would love to see that with some pro apps on it, and it can cost a lot. It can be a premium iPad that is really pretty, a lot of pro apps, a lot of specs, but a top dollar. I would be more interested in learning how to edit on an iPad than a MacBook, because that's just the way we've always been doing things. It'd be cool to see someone try to do it differently. Best YouTuber, and what do you think of the new Amazon Fire Phone 2 that just came out? I don't believe you, techie kid. Nice try. What will happen to the matte black iPhone since wireless charging requires a glass back? Yeah, it's going to go. I'm afraid the aluminum backs on the iPhones aren't going to be there much longer, which is kind of sad, but the Galaxy S8 maybe get used to glass backs. I don't think they're that bad anymore. I used to not like them, but it's growing on me. I'll get used to it. I can't change anything about it now. Whoa! Look at all these super chats. You are awesome. What port would you remove/replace on the iPhone? Thank you, George and Alexander Magrin. I don't even know what currency that is, but thank you. Okay, what port? Okay, so for future reference, when someone types something in the super chat, I will definitely respond to it, unless it's explicit or something. But to stand out in the chat and to like point out like really answer this comment, this is the best way to do it. So I appreciate the donation, Alexander, from Sweden. That's my heritage. That's where my people are from. Thank you. Oh God, there's more coming already. All right, I'm gonna answer the first one. George, what port would you remove/replace on the iPhone? That's a good one. If I had it my way, I would be okay with USB-C on the iPhone. Apple's not interested in that, but because they want Lightning to be on everything, they like their port. But I would be, and I understand that you'd have to buy new cables, you'd have to buy new adapters for all your new chargers. That doesn't bother me. I think we should have one port to finish it all. The one port to end all ports is USB-C. It's not Lightning. So if I could, that's what it would be. All right. Next one. Tobias Olesa, you just donated. Thank you. I also don't know what that currency is. I gotta get more accustomed to how these work. And okay, can someone explain that to me? Thank you. Apple, business first, innovation second. Thoughts? Well, Luke. Okay. Thank you, Oki, by the way. Thank you for those translation things. Really appreciate it. Norwegian dollars. Thank you. Anyway, first of all, Apple is a business. So everything a business does has to be centered on profit first, or else they don't exist. Apple can't do anything if they don't make money. So when you say things like, all they care about is money, it's like, well, if you're treating Apple as one single entity, yes, it's a business. It's not a human being. They have to make money to pay their employees to be a business. So I agree with that statement that business has to come first. As in, a lot of people are talking about what the situation with Touch ID is on the iPhone 8 right now. Maybe they have figured out a way to put it in the OLED display. Like they figured a way to make it underneath. That's great, but the issue is they can't figure out a way to make those fast enough. So this would be a perfect answer to where business comes before innovation. Perhaps they figured out how to put OLED under the display, but if they can only have 10,000 of them ready by launch day, it's not worth it. Only 10,000 people would get the new iPhone, then they'd be sold out, and then even if the iPhone cost $1,000, they wouldn't make as much, and then all the money, all the R&D, all of the time that went into designing the iPhone 8 wouldn't be made up for because no one would get paid out of it. So in other words, if you didn't care about the quantity in sales of the iPhone 8 when you sell 10,000 of them that are really nice, that don't have Touch ID on the back, not on the power button, on the display, that's new innovation, that's cool. It's better than having it on the back or removed entirely, but the company's not going to profit from it. So, as you've mentioned, putting the business first, they have to put Touch ID on the back or on the power button or remove it entirely in order to make millions of them ready by launch day. That way we can all have them. I really wish it was an option. I wish they would make both and we could just make the people who want Touch ID into the display pay a lot more. Why is that not an option? Like in the checkout option, it's like, I want the iPhone 8. Where do you want Touch ID? On the front or on the back? Oh, on the front. That'll be $50,000. Okay, I'll take it on the back. And then the people who really can pay that will pay it, and then they'll get it. If the iPhone 8 goes into worst case scenario, will you still buy it? Yeah, Bendix. Um, I want this to be my career. I want to make YouTube videos, not just tech videos, vlogs, podcasts, comedy sketches, and eventually feature films I have written, but the world's not ready for those yet. Um, but, sorry, what was the question? I completely missed it. iPhone, I have to buy, yeah, I have to buy Apple products not because I want them anymore. It's just because I need to review them for you guys. Like, it's my job to critique and tell you whether or not you should buy it. I've now got nearly 22,000 people who kind of rely on me for primarily their Apple purchases. Oh, Matt D, thank you very much. Really love your channel. Became a Patreon 2 days ago. Thank you. Yeah, I don't make a new Patreon outro like every video because Patreons change quite often. So forgive me if you're not in the outro of the videos yet. You'll get there. It's just every month or so or every couple of weeks I will refresh the Patreon list and add the names. So you'll get there. Thank you guys though. Slugga Raptor, what do you think of a magnetic NFC fingerprint reader that you put on the side through the magnets and then you can take it off and scan your finger, basically put the scanner wherever you want? I don't understand, but I just think that's a little too complicated. I think Apple would rather remove it or put it on the back. I mean, honestly, I know putting it on the back is worse than the front or the power button, but I would rather have it on the back than not at all because getting used to it on the S8 really wasn't that hard. I really thought I'd hate that, and I really was okay with it because there was no room for it on the front. I was mad about Touch ID being on the back with the Pixel because it so obviously could have gone on that chin. I thought that was embarrassing. It's like, how can no one complain about this? Obviously, the reason they didn't put Touch ID in the front is it would look exactly like an iPhone. It already looks exactly like an iPhone. It's embarrassing how close they look in resemblance, but I don't think Touch ID on the back would be a worst case scenario. I don't think that would change people's minds. I still think the sales would be fine. I think we'd all complain for a long time, and honestly, if they do put Touch ID on the back, I'll make a video defending it and then probably get a lot more hits than if they put it on the front. If they put it on the front, that's great, but like my review will be very boring. You know, great products make for boring reviews because when you watch my iPhone 8 review, it's not going to be me complaining. It's going to be me saying, "This is really good. I really like it." There's just nothing funny to work off of. I gotta make it interesting. Like the Pixel Rant video is really entertaining because there's so much wrong with it. The S8 video is really entertaining because it's the debate in my head between iPhone and S8. Now I kind of want to switch, and you're watching that conflict in my brain and why I'm switching back and forth on it. But when I actually have like a premium Apple product that's like perfect, it's kind of hard to be interesting. Would you like an edge display on Apple products like Samsung? Yeah, in the past I've said that curved displays are fine. I don't think they're better or worse. I just think if you want them, that's great. If you don't, that's fine too. Like I'm very neutral on curved displays. I would like a all-around curved display on my Apple Watch. I think it would be really cool if the display went over the glass edges as the glass meets with the aluminum around the edge. I think that would make the Apple Watch look really neat, and I think the technology for a all-sided curved display is there. But it doesn't bother me that they're not doing curved displays on the iPhone 8. Like, that's fine. I don't need it. I think what it is it's a cheat to get rid of bezels because it's really hard to embed in the display to go all the way to the edge of a phone. So what they do is they curve it, and that makes the bezels appear to be much smaller, which they are. But if you can shrink bezels down really far and not have the display curve, that's fine too. Anyway. Oh, wait. Can you guys hang on 1 second? Someone texted me about coming over. And a friend of mine left his stuff here. So I'm going to just message him real quick. Thank you guys for watching this. By the way, we're having a great stats for a live stream. I don't think we've ever had that many people watching. We had close to 180. Okay. If Apple made a car, will there be window? Dang it, Malboss! Hate that joke. God. You're fine. What do you think about Apple Watch 3? Swingo. I've been designing a couple concepts. I've made an iPad Pro 2 and an iPhone 7s concept. Those are kind of basic, but I mean they're all basic concepts. But I actually got a pretty interesting idea for Apple Watch 3 design. That was a little bit more unique, and it had some logic to it. I'm thinking about making it. I don't know if anyone would care because not that many people watch the iPhone 7s video, unfortunately. But my idea was instead of on the back having this... Wait, I just destroyed my idea. Hold on, hear me out. Instead of on the back having this rounded bulge of glass, I would instead have the glass be rounded flat. So it's not a curve like that on the back, and that way your Apple Watch Series 3 could charge with the same charger your iPhone 8 will charge with, which I'm assuming is going to be flat because the iPhone 8 back is flat. So if we make our wireless charging standard across all of Apple products, that way we could have one charger plate that does everything, just drop everything on there. I think that would be neat. Surface Pro 4 is better than the iPad Pro? Yeah, but it runs Windows on Div. So, good luck with that. I mean, you can have your Surface Pro, but I won't be jealous. What is your favorite part about making tech videos? Asks Kayla's World. Wow. That's an interesting question. I really enjoy the... You're right, I hate it. I'm giving up, guys. No, okay. I personally like all the money I get. No, I like interesting topics. I guess I talked about this at the beginning. I really enjoy the changing the way you think about something, because essentially to get this channel going, I really had to be okay with saying things that other people were not comfortable with. Saying Apple is better, Apple is, the best tech company, this ecosystem is okay, removing the headphone jack, that's okay. The new MacBook Pro, that's okay. Every time Apple does something controversial, I feel like their defense lawyer, and I love that. It's like my favorite part is almost triggering people because it's testing them on their beliefs. And when someone comments something like, you're an idiot, or I can't take you seriously, it proves to me that they don't have the energy or obvious answer in their brain as to why I'm wrong. They just don't like the fact that everything I'm saying makes a lot of sense right now. And they can't seem to articulate how I'm wrong. Which I really love. I love to test people on that because it makes them change their way of thinking. It makes them say that the way of thinking I know might not be correct now, and I thought I was before. I don't know. I like debating people, like not just in tech and not just in tech. I love debating people on all kinds of topics. There's plenty of topics we cannot talk about on here because most people do not know how to have a civil debate. Where we have two conflicting points of view and we try to figure out why we think opposing views. Why do we think differently from each other? I love doing that, but a lot of people are not good at it, and they result to just, you're an idiot, you're terrible, you're cancer, you need to kill yourself. That's what happens online. Like, I just say Apple's great, and I get death threats. So tech is a good starting place for me. I'd love to branch into more debates on different channels, like movie reviews and social life, social commentary and stuff like that. But they're still texting me. Yeah, it's. We're not in an ecosystem yet where I'm comfortable with talking about the tough topics, but tech is a great starting place for me. I hope I can keep going out from here. But you guys are all making that happen, so thank you. What are your thoughts on Apple's manufacturing ethics? Yeah, Foxconn. I know what you're talking about, Luke. It's it's definitely not an easy topic because there's not an easy answer. The thing is, it's not an Apple manufacturing ethic. It's all tech companies. You know, they don't manufacture Samsung phones any differently than iPhones. They're made by the same company, uh, and they're made under the same conditions. They made all in China because the working conditions and the laws they have there are very cheap. They don't have to treat the workers very politely, but you know that's also how they make iPhones affordable to the people. As in, if Apple or Samsung or whoever just decided to start making all their phones in the U.S., all our phones would cost $5,000 to $10,000. Then we wouldn't have phones. So it's kind of it's just tricky debate because we're all. It's not Apple's fault entirely. It's kind of ours because you know we've bought into it. We've bought all this technology, and it's not just as simple as saying make working conditions better. We can't just ask that because then we would all complain about how expensive the technology is. So it's not an easy fix, but I know a large majority of Foxconn's assembly process was replaced with robots recently. So I think that is the future. Eventually, we'll be able to manufacture all these things uh, completely autonomously without people. But of course, that creates a new problem of now there's going to be a bunch of people without work over there. That's a big problem. So like it's not an easy answer of how to fix that, but it I wouldn't say it's just Apple doing it. I don't want to just say Apple is the only company doing this. They need to fix it. It's everyone. It's all tech companies. Nearly everything is assembled in China, and we all bought into it. We all give them money. And if all of our products were 5 times, 10 times the price they are now, we wouldn't buy them. So there's not an easy way to answer it. Um, and the other thing important to remember is, you know, Foxconn doesn't round up these employees randomly. You still apply to work at Foxconn. Like, if you watch a video on like all the people that apply to Foxconn on like hiring day, it's crazy. Everyone wants to work there. I get that conditions are tough and in the suicide rate is high there, but it's like it's not in. I wouldn't blame entirely on the company because it's like they have the option to not work there if they don't want to. They're not being held there against their will. Sometimes we get the impression that they're all slaved. Like they could work at other places if they wanted to. They want to work there. Anyway, Kelton Lang says, "Awesome videos. Keep up the great work, dude. And thank you for your super chat, Kelton. Appreciate it." iPod revival, Thomas? No, not happening. There's Luke again. Very true. Just wanted to let you know that I truly respect you and your channel for having well thought out opinions backing up your claims. It's something we need more of these days. I definitely agree. I hope there's more channels like me. 18 Simpsona says, Tailosive, could the circle on the back of leaks of iPhone 8 be a circle for a wireless charger for the Apple Watch magnetic wireless charging instead? Ever thought of that idea? Those leaks were made by Everything Apple Pro. They were not official leaks. No, they're moving to glass backs on the iPhone 8. I think that's pretty certain. I don't think they're gonna try to because the Apple Watch charger is curved, so they'd have to have a bump on the back, and that would be terrible. So no, I don't think that's what it is. Why aren't the computers behind you on the set? Well, because they have there's no more room. These used to be on the set last year. I changed the Macs up there around last year. I put the newer ones on there, and I put the monitor up there. It's right over there, by the way. These were what used to be up there. These are big guys and the PowerBooks. I just like to mix it up a little bit because people wanted the background to look different, and that's the most I could do for them. Wish I could change it up and make it more premium, but that's all I got. And before, these were all just on the floor. Now I have a dresser in here because we got a new one in a different room, so they moved in this one. Just said, take it. I said, okay. Anyway, why is iOS standby time so much better than Android? Steven, usually because I don't think you can have an always, like, OLED burns into the display, and a lot of Android phones are OLED, so that the reason you can't have the oh no, you're talking about something else. Standby time. I don't know. I was talking about the display just being on by itself without turning off. They do that on the iPhones with LCD because they don't have to worry about the displays burning in that much. Whereas OLED, if you leave it on, it'll burn in and it'll show. That's why, like on Android, they have to turn themselves off after 15 minutes or an hour or something. Everyone spam him to change Apple Sheep. More subs. No, look, Mob Balma, I don't have to change the name of my channel to Apple Sheep because when you search Apple Sheep, I'm what shows up. It's just me. So that wouldn't benefit anything. Plus, I don't want to identify the whole channel as Apple Sheep if Apple starts to cease to be good. It's kind of the problem everything Apple Pro has right now because he does a lot of Samsung stuff. He really likes the Samsung Galaxy phones. He does a lot of Samsung Galaxy products, work tinkering and like comparisons. So it's kind of hypocritical to have his channel be called Everything Apple Pro when a lot of what he does is Samsung related. So I'm not saying it's impossible that Apple could start failing to be good. If at some point Apple starts ceasing to be a premium company, I wouldn't want to be called the Apple Sheep. I call myself the Apple Sheep now, but I'm saying that's subject to change if they started to not be that way. I still think they're great, but it could definitely happen. They could start screwing up things. What's something you hate about Apple? Asks Leon. The naming. They're terrible at naming things, and they're terrible at picking colors. Because there's like 5 different shades of space gray across all the different products. 50 shades of space gray. Sorry, someone was going to comment that anyway. And John Coe says, Microsoft HoloLens thoughts. We're not ready for augmented reality. I'm not talking about as a human race. I'm saying the technology's not ready. HoloLens are really cropped in. And you look ridiculous wearing them. They're too huge. There's very little battery life. And there's not much you can do with it realistically yet. Apple's working on augmented reality stuff, but I don't think they'll release it looking like the HoloLens. The HoloLens is us getting ahead of ourselves, thinking we know what to do. We know we are capable of augmented reality now. We really got to slow down on that. I don't think we're ready yet. Do you own a fidget spinner? No, I don't. I'm actually pretty good at just sitting down and relaxing, being very calm. I'm not a fidgety kind of guy. I don't have to be doing something. I'm saying you can have the phone stand by overnight with an iOS device and lose only 1%, and with Android you can lose like 10. It's probably because Android has so many things going on in the background. Plus, Androids typically have better battery life, so maybe they're okay with that. Where Apple kind of power naps when they turn their stuff off, they really turn their stuff off. Do you think the iPhone 8 will support the UI of the plus-sized iPhone? Oh, that's a good question because the display is larger, huh? But the form factor is smaller. I was thinking about that. Now, one of these iPhone 8 videos I was going to work on later was the home button. A home button built into the display of an iPhone is going to be very different than a Google Pixel home button or S8 because there's a difference on iOS. There's a difference between tapping the home button and clicking it, whereas that's not the case with Samsung or Pixel. When you tap the home button, it activates the home button. But with Apple on the iPhone, it's double tap activates reachability and a double click activates multitasking. And holding down the home button on an iPhone 7 is how you unlock the phone, but if you hold it down hard, it activates Siri. So I'm saying the home button on the next iPhone that'll be on the display might work differently than you think it will be, like on the Pixel where you just press it. This, you'll actually hold your thumb over it and then actually push down on it to activate the clicking thing. It might be different, or they might just change the whole nature of the home button. I don't know. Apple Watch Series 3, not much is going to change. I expect it to have cellular connectivity, Bluetooth 5.0, maybe a W1 chip, and hope. My wish is that the back of its wireless charger would be flat. That way it can charge on the same charge as your iPhone does. iPhone 8. Whoa! Holy God. There's a big tip here. On Tailosive Talks, I heard you saying you edit videos for clients. but can you edit my footage if I sent it to you, pay you, and give you the script? Boonier DJI Phantom, I'm flattered that you'd like me to edit your video. However, life is very, very busy right now. I have very little free time. In fact, like I said earlier, I'm trying to quit a job I have now. I'm trying to make more time for YouTube videos. So, really appreciate it, but no, I'm not accepting work right now. I'm not going to be taking other people's work. Like, the big problem with that I'm experiencing right now is 3 years ago I made weddings for people and I made business videos for people, and then they'll come back after 3 years and say, hey, I want to change all these things. When you're in the middle of trying to run a YouTube business or trying to work at a ranch, they want to come back and ask for your time and ask for your old hard drive footage that you have backed up on some other computer. And they, older people don't understand that containing footage for that long gets difficult, and they don't understand that DVDs suck, and it's really hard to burn DVDs for people increasingly now because we don't have computers with DVD drives anymore. And the DVD quality is significantly lower than anything you could get on YouTube. So I'm trying to tell these people, like, look, can you please just watch the videos online? I'll upload them for you, and you can just send the link to people. They don't know how that works. They don't know how YouTube works. They don't know how to send links or anything. There's some older people. They just want physical media, DVDs that are at 480p that they can take to DVD players and show to people. And they want all these changes made. They're like, this shot is too shaky. And I'm like, I shot it 3 years ago. I don't know how to fix that. I could stabilize it for you, but that's about it. And that's the problem with me in doing hired work is takes too much time. And the reason I want to do YouTube is because I get to decide what I make. So I'm flattered, but no thank you. Keep looking though. I hope you find a good editor. I love your vids. I watch your vlogs, Sketches Tech. I've seen all of them, by the way. I want you to do more sketches. Your biggest fan. Can you open a P.O. box? Says Finn Real Vlogs. I've been thinking about it. A lot of people have suggested that. If you want to show me something you make or take some pictures of it and tag me on Twitter. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Is just at Tailosive Tech on Twitter. Just go on there and just say, look what I made you. It mean a lot to me. I don't need a lot more stuff, but I'll work on opening a P.O. box. I would happily accept. Long says I can't donate money. Go to Patreon or on a desktop you can do super chat. What do you think of a black ceramic iPhone? Would it scratch? Update for jet black. I don't know much about ceramic. I know it's very tough though. Honestly, I would rather have a glass back that's made of sapphire, because that stuff is really top-notch quality, really scratch resistant. But yeah, I don't know about ceramic. But it would kind of make sense, huh? Because the Apple Watch Editions is ceramic, so iPhone Edition would also be ceramic. That makes sense, huh? What speakers are those under your TV? I thought you used a Bose thingamajinger connected via Bluetooth. Oh yeah, I used to. I gave my Bose Bluetooth speaker to my girlfriend. I'm really excited. I'm hoping that the Siri speaker will be mobile, but it might not. These actually aren't plugged into anything. My friend Ross, best friend, buys speakers that you hook up to stereo decks all the time, and I have a stereo, but it's complicated. It's really old. It's like from the 90s, and it's really hard plugging it into my modern Apple TV. So he keeps sending me all these speakers he doesn't have, and he's going into the Air Force soon. So he's trying to get rid of this stuff. So I'm still, and these take a very specific kind of cable that I don't contain. But these ones underneath Logitech are plugged into the Apple TV. They are working. And then these are called CAs. I've had these for years. I've had those for like 5 years now. But they sound great. I've got 2 subwoofers on the bottom, and then 4 regular left and rights up top, and it's nice and loud. Anyway, we got another tip from Alexander. What did he say? Will Apple let developers use NFC anytime soon? Well, that's a good question. I wouldn't count on it. I feel like if they wanted to let NFC be used, they would have by now. But for me, the big difference is, I think, in terms of NFC, they just want you to use Apple Pay, and if you want to share files, use AirDrop. They just want you to use their own in-house thing. I don't think they're ready to open up NFC to people, unfortunately. Sorry. I don't make the rules. Anyway. Hey, look, Steve Jobs, he's in the chat. Great. Do you like curved edges? I personally don't, because when the glass breaks, it's expensive to replace it. So curved edges on displays, I'm assuming what you're talking about. I can understand the replacement fee on that is a little bit annoying. But like I said, they can be there, but if they're not, it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't think that's the future necessarily. But I don't hate them either. I just think you should not drop your phone. Just that should also teach you to be careful. And I don't think as time goes on, phones are going to be getting much cheaper or more durable. We want them to be premium, but until we start making everything out of sapphire, they're going to be pretty prone to scratches and resistance. So if you're a clumsy person, just keep a case on it, and if you like the phone the way it is, you don't want a case, just please be careful with your phones. That's all I can say. I've been caseless for 4 years now. Don't put cases on my phones. I like them the way they are. Anyway. When's the iPad Pro 2 out? Haha, best be soon. Yeah, I hope so, but I'm afraid it's going to be a while. I don't think it'll be at WWDC. How did you learn to edit? Asks Andrea. No one taught me. I started on iMovie on an old white iMac like that guy back there. Old version of iMovie before OS X Lion, way before that. I just kind of started messing with it, played with it myself, and then after that I learned the new iMovie that everyone hates, the one that looks like iOS iMovie. I used that for a couple years, then I switched to Final Cut Pro when I started to want to make more professional stuff, because I thought I was making professional stuff. I really wasn't. But I did that for a while, and then I heard people in the industry that were making more professional feature films were using Adobe Premiere more of the time, so then I did a Adobe membership, and I still have that Adobe membership. I'm doing Premiere, After Effects, Photoshop, Audition. Really got used to those, and I really taught myself all of them. There was a couple times I looked it up how to do it on YouTube, but I wouldn't really say that was my primary method. It was mainly just kind of going into a program and start clicking buttons. Just go in there and just start messing with stuff, and see what buttons interact with footage, and start dragging footage in. And I can confidently say I did teach myself most of it. Yeah, it really wasn't any person or anything. There were people in my life that showed me a couple tricks, but not like in the grand scheme of things. And I'm still learning. There's still things I figure out every other day. But then more recently this year, I made the switch back to Final Cut because it works far better on the MacBook Pro with the touch bar. Footage doesn't crash the computer because Adobe Premiere doesn't want to optimize to my MacBook. It overheats, the battery drops, and it takes a long time to export. Final Cut is way more optimized for that setup, so now I'm on Final Cut. But I use After Effects for like outros and stuff for like Patreon and my little tech animation. And I still use Photoshop for concept art. I don't use Audition much, but I still have my Adobe membership, so I can use both. I use Verizon Unlimited, in case you were wondering. Why do so many people hate Apple? I don't know. Well, just because they're expensive and the competition is cheaper. And a lot of people just don't like the idea of being loyal to one brand. They want a whole ecosystem to have a part of. They want to have different people's takes on all products so you get the best version of everything. I just happen to think that Apple's products are the best in each of their classes. So that's why I'm an Apple sheep. Anyway. Is there a big difference in the power of the touch bar versus non-touch bar MacBook Pro? Yeah, the one without the touch bar is way underpowered. Like, they're not parallel. There's only one fan on the MacBook Pro without a touch bar, whereas the ones with the touch bar have two fans. They have way more processing power. But they built them that way. I think this year they're talking about Apple's working on making function key MacBook Pros that are just as powerful, or yeah, just as powerful as the Touch Bar one, because a lot of people were upset with the Touch Bar MacBook Pros. So that now they're working on ones that have function keys, and we'll be fine. What do you think about the Gear S3 compared to the Apple Watch? Callum, Apple Watch is better. I've messed around with the Gear S2. I've looked at the Gear S3. It looks very similar. I don't like how complicated they make them look, the rugged, classic kind of style. I prefer the Apple Watch. Use Media Encoder to export footage. It's much faster than exporting in Premiere. It really isn't. I know what you're talking about, but I've done it before. I've tried to use the separate programs, but it still doesn't change the fact that when you're editing in Premiere, it's way harder on your battery life. And when I tried to edit 4K footage in Premiere, it would crash the whole computer. And Final Cut edits 4K absolutely no problem. So it's just, they're built differently. What do you think of an Apple TV remote which can change its buttons because it has a screen so you can play games with dedicated controls or just scroll through lists of movies? Oh, okay, I see what you're saying, Philip. I already kind of don't like this remote, to be honest. I don't know about a touchscreen, if that's the way to answer it, but I really wish companies would acknowledge that when people are watching movies at night, it's very hard to see remotes when they're black like this. I wish we would make these like white versions of these so we could see them at night, or like backlit. If we charge the remote, can't we just have the buttons light up? Because the buttons are fairly symmetrical on here, so when it's at night, you don't know which way you're holding it sometimes. It gets confusing. But the display, yeah, it might work, actually, because then you could see what's on it. I see what you're saying. Maybe I need to work on a concept for that. That'd be kind of interesting. Like a touch bar Apple TV remote. I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting. I'm sorry, Finn, that you broke your phone, but I don't have any money to give you either. So I apologize. Are you ever going to make videos on how to jailbreak an iPhone? No, because I'm not interested in jailbreaking. Sorry. It's not my thing. What do you think of a phone that is all display, not all touchscreen, but the front and sides could be for buttons and content, the back could make the phone any color, change color in the settings? That sounds really expensive and dangerous, but I guess it'd be cool. We'll probably get there one day. We'll get there in about 10 years. Oh my gosh, it's 1:16. I'm getting there. I'm 19 years old, Finn. Anyway, thank you guys all for watching. I'm going to wrap this up and get some lunch. It is 1 o'clock where I am. I appreciate all the tips. Super chats are definitely the best way to get your comment to stand out. I appreciate those, and they help support the channel. Also, check out Patreon if you're on mobile and you can't get the super chats to work. That's a great way to brand yourself in my own videos. So thank you, everyone, so much for making this our most viewed live stream ever. Hope you guys keep up with the news and follow me on Twitter when you find something or you want to show me something. And I will get back to work on more videos. Oh, also, subscribe to Tailosive Talks. That is a very active channel. I'm uploading vlogs on there. We're doing live streams all the time. And if we can get 1,000 subs on there, then we can actually live stream from the mobile app. Makes my life a lot easier. So help me get there. Really, really, really would appreciate it. Anyway, this is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one. And